WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Tommy Lopez. People are on guard, they say, tonight. Law enforcement members in Alabama are still looking for 2 inmates who escaped, and there are arrests in this case now. Zeppelin Kennedy and Corey Dean, they've been out of the Marion County Jail since Friday. The Lamar County Sheriff's Department is helping Marion County in this search. They say the 2 could still be in the area. Deputies arrested 8 people in those 2 counties. These are photos of them now on screen. They're all accused of hindering the search in some form. People who live there say tonight it's unexpected, and they're on alert about the men still possibly being in the area.
It's got the community, alarm, but we're staying in there and riding and looking, and just want everybody to know to keep the doors locked and don't approach any strangers you don't know.
Very surprising. I mean, normally you don't hear of escapees, in the area around here. It's kind of a small community and they're close-knit community, so it's kind of surprising to know that they're hanging around.
Investigators believe both Kennedy and Dean are still in Lamar County. U.S. Marshals are also involved in the investigation. It can involve a lot of effort from law enforcement when people escape from jail. It can require agencies pulling out all the stops and joining forces with law enforcement in other areas. Our Quentin Smith joins us now. He spoke to an area sheriff to talk about those resources. Quentin.
Tommy, Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott says it can be challenging trying to track down an escaped inmate, and he knows from past experiences. An inmate escaped from Clay County Jail, and his department called on the U.S. Marshal Service to capture him. I sat down with the sheriff to find out some of the other resources his department uses to catch escaped inmates.
Our biggest fear is when one escapes is potential crimes that they may commit while they're on the run.
Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott says when inmates escape from jail, it becomes an immediate threat to the community, which is why whenever he receives news about an inmate being on the loose, he and his staff start their investigation right away.
First of all, we want to know what type of crime it is, whether it's going to be a violent person or not, and then start working with the agency from where the escape occurred at.
Scott says communicating and working with other law enforcement agencies plays a huge role in tracking down the escapees.
Normally all agencies in the state, and including again the federals, are involved in these escapes. But again, when somebody takes that chance to run, sometimes they have nothing to lose. So that just makes it that more imperative for us to catch these individuals.
Once agencies collect information about the escaped inmate, they then put the information out on social media, which is another tool they rely on.
Social media, getting information out there. Now you have so much Facebook, Twitter. There's so many avenues now of getting this information out there, and we do have a good public feedback from this.
Once that information is out there, Scott says they then work with the community because, more times than not, at some point the escapees will return back to the city or town that they're from.
In a lot of cases, we've seen that happen. They're going to try to, if they're not try to go back to that area, they're going to try to contact. So that's the reason it's so important letting the public know, getting this information out there so they can be on the lookout, and it's just as important for them to notify us if they see something.
Now, Sheriff Scott says if a Mississippi Department of Corrections inmate escapes, they'll send out information to everyone statewide, alerting them that an inmate is on the loose. Tommy, back to you.
Quentin, thank you. A search at the Tishomingo County Jail turned up 5 knives. It was all in one bunk. 24-year-old Michael Lumpkin is facing 5 felony charges now from this. The Sheriff's Department, along with county jail employees, found shanks hidden in a mattress. It was during a routine safety check. An investigation found the homemade knives came from a door that was being repaired. Lumpkin was awaiting a court appearance for burglary. Deputies are accusing a Nettleton woman of using a copy of the Bible to try to smuggle drugs into an area jail. Lee County Sheriff Jim Johnson says Courtney Ford brought a Bible to the county jail. Now she's going to be an inmate. Johnson says an officer found that part of the Bible there. The binding was cut away and there was meth inside. It's standard procedure to search items like that. Johnson says both Ford and the recipient, Stephen Estes, were involved in the planning of that.
We continuously search property that comes in, letters that come in, letters that go out, and it would be amazing to the general public of what you can find. And they used You know, they used the Bible thinking that that would be an easier way to slip it in, that it wouldn't be checked. But, you know, our officers did a good job once they got it, did what they were supposed to do, and was able to uncover this, because it could have very easily been a weapon.
Estes was about to go to the Mississippi Department of Corrections for a drug-related crime. Ford's bond is $75,000. City leaders met this morning to discuss concerns after a weekend shooting in downtown Columbus. Mayor Robert Smith says he's received emails, texts, phone calls from people, from business owners and business developers, all about safety downtown. Smith says recommendations related to the Princess Theater are going to go before City Council in tomorrow night's meeting. He also says the city is going to take every step necessary to provide the best public safety.
We weren't responsible for the gunshots that were fired, but it is our responsibility to provide public safety for the citizens. And when there is a problem, it's incumbent on the mayor, the council, and the law enforcement official to take immediate action, and that's what we're going to do.
And Smith talked specifics. He says some of the first steps are going to include putting in high-quality cameras, they'll go along certain blocks downtown, and adding more on-foot patrols in the area. To our weather tonight, Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson is with us. Keith, a very warm start to the first day of spring.
That's right, Tommy. Currently 71 degrees in Tupelo. Earlier today here in Tupelo, we were at 85 degrees, a new record high for the day, or at least a tied record high. Same story in Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, and Nashville. Some additional new records in the region. Now, temperatures right now across our viewing area. Look at this. 71 in Columbus, a little bit cooler in Starkville at 64, 62 in Winona. But it is warm, and guess what? It is going to stay warm tomorrow. 8 o'clock, 62 by noon, around 80 in Columbus. Our forecast high, mid-80s, around 86 in the Golden Triangle area. Your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Keith, thank you. It's taken 6 years of work, but construction is finally going to begin on a Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Tupelo. Our Ali Martin was at Veterans Park for today's groundbreaking.
For Colonel Smitty Harris, spending part of the first day of spring at this groundbreaking was worth the long wait.
Good job, good job.
Colonel Harris spent nearly 8 years as a prisoner of war after his plane was shot down during a bombing run in Vietnam. He knows many of the men whose names will be on the Vietnam Memorial Wall at Veterans Park. He believes the memorial will be a top attraction at the park that honors those who have helped make this country great.
Every time that we have friends visiting or family, we will bring them to this park, not only for this, but the display of flags, the F-105, the Aquatic Center over there. It's a wonderful addition to Mississippi.
When it's completed, the Veterans Park replica will be 60% the size of the original Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. It will feature 2 angled walls, each 148 feet long and 6 feet tall at the center, with the names of more than 58,000 U.S. soldiers killed or missing in the Vietnam War. The Vietnam Memorial replica wall will cost about $1 million. Officials say it's a great example of fruitful public and private partnerships.
It was started by 2 ladies from Itawamba County and then later picked up with many different groups about the planning. They had private donations, the city came in, the county came in, and then our legislators really filled it up with a $750,000 donation to this park.
The wall should be completed sometime in the fall. In Tupelo, I'm Ali Martin, WCBI News.
Weather-wise in downtown Columbus, absolutely gorgeous here this evening. Hopefully you took advantage of this great weather. There's the setting sun right there. Another warm day on tap for tomorrow. Details are next. Last week was spring break. I'm sure a lot of folks went out and did a little sunbathing. Well, this is the time for some sunbathing. Crocodiles, not crocodiles, how about alligators? Yeah. These are gators. This is the Naxby Refuge earlier today. A little bit of a warm Monday for us, mid-80s, bringing out the gators right there to bathe in that sunshine. There's the sun going on down in northeast Mississippi and Tupelo. What a gorgeous day we had. Just warm and breezy here, just like summer for the first day of spring, mid-80s. There have been some storms here in Tennessee today, just a few remnant blips on the radar, some clouds, no showers really associated with that right now. All the good stuff has avoided our area, moved through Nashville, a couple of storm complexes up there in Ohio and now into West Virginia. We're looking back to the northwest. There's a frontal boundary coming our way that could spark some additional storms in the region tomorrow. There will be a little disturbance teaming up with that front that could clip far north Mississippi. Back to the west, this big, huge swirl out here moving ashore, that could actually give us a pretty good chance for some storms here Friday night, but really Saturday, and some of those could be on the stronger side across the region. So this is what we're looking at, maybe, just maybe, a few storms in far northeast Mississippi tomorrow, northeast of Tupelo, maybe northeast of Boonville, way up there near the Tennessee River Valley. A chance for some of those storms on Saturday. But the storm season overall between now and mid-May, the next 60 days here, that's our storm season. So it's always wise to be prepared before the storm. We're programming weather radios this Wednesday, 4:30 to 6:30 at the Starkville Kroger. Hope to see you there. Right now in Starkville, cool 63, cool relative to the rest of the area. 71 in Tupelo, 70 in Columbus and Vernon, 70 also in West Point this evening. Pretty warm locally, 65 in Atlanta, warmer out towards Dallas and Oklahoma City here, mid-70s across the high plains. And here's our forecast for tomorrow. Mid-80s again in the Golden Triangle area, also in the West Alabama, perhaps a little bit cooler in far northeast Mississippi, northeast of Tupelo, where there could be some storms. And speaking of that, let's show you Futurecast. As we go throughout most of the day, you can see no major problems for us, but far northeast Mississippi right there, late in the afternoon into the evening, there could be a few stronger storms with that. And then we'll just wait and see what happens there later this week, Friday night into our Saturday. So warm tomorrow, 69 cooler behind that frontal boundary Wednesday. Then we're back into the 70s Thursday and Friday. A chance for storms for our Saturday. And just a warmer pattern now that we are into spring.
Yeah, definitely warmer, but it's going to cool down a little bit from the mid-80s.
Yes, today was pretty warm, tomorrow pretty warm, and then back to where we should be for Wednesday, mid to upper 60s.
We'll watch those rain chances. I see them too for Saturday.
That's right.
All right, Kate, thank you very much. Baptist segment. Tonight, Baptist is talking about spring allergies.
Hi, I'm Dr. Justin Garner, and I'm part of the otolaryngology team at Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle. I want to talk to you about spring allergies, and it all begins with exposure. Even if you've inhaled an allergen many times before with no trouble, at some point, for some reason, the body flags it as an invader. During this particular exposure, the immune system studies the allergen and gets ready for the next exposure by developing special cells called antibodies designed to detect the allergen in the future. You're now sensitized to the allergen. Then, the next time your body is exposed to the allergen, your immune system kicks into action. The antibodies recognize it, and your body goes to work fighting off the invader by flooding your body with chemicals such as histamine. This is what produces your allergy symptoms. Keep in mind that the amount of exposure matters. There's a threshold or tipping point for people with allergies. You can handle some exposure, but if it gets to be too much, the immune system is triggered to attack. Some people, most often children, may outgrow an allergy completely. For others, their symptoms get worse as they get older and the immune system gets weaker. But once you have an allergy, it doesn't go away on its own. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist, and we'll discuss some of the worst allergen triggers.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk, Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle.
Coming up, 7-day forecast. We are warm tomorrow, maybe a stray storm in the far northeast. Cooler midweek, but more storms Saturday. We'll be watching out for that for a better chance for a strong storm.
Springtime weather.
That's right. Here. It is.
All right, Keith, thank you. Thanks for joining us. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is coming up next.